Hello everyone, welcome back to something a little different. I've done like one coding slash debugging video in the past. I don't do a lot of these, but I thought it would be fun to do one now. So this is not at the moment part of my ongoing Fielded Fire Elementalist series, so it won't even be in that playlist. But anyway, if you're not interested in like seeing what goes on in like code and crawl, like feel free to skip this video and get back to more playing. Right now, I'm gonna be playing just using Mode crawl's sort of debugging feature to make sure I can reproduce the issue that came up that was like driving me crazy, and then I'm gonna dive through the source code to see what the deal is that makes that happen, and see if we can do anything about it. So I have this like I don't know, I have just a character who like lies around and does all sorts of crazy things. So it's always funny to come back and look at a Mode game and see like what in the world is going on here. This game, we seem to be a kobold of Hepliocalcana, and I remember I was casting. I have a death scarab, so I was casting infestation to see what that's all about. But we don't want that. We want to be. It probably doesn't matter what kind of monster we want to blink on top of. But just in case, I wanted to switch to Fedhas to reproduce exactly the issue I had before. So let's go up here and make some monsters like Troll. Actually, Troll Band. There we go. That didn't help much, but all right. Like, really, Troll Band is just one troll. All right. Well, there you go. Is time frozen or something? Why? No. Okay. What's a good way to actually kill these guys easily and reliably and make sure I actually get corpses? Because if you use the Mode command to just kill them instantly, I don't think you get a corpse. Carrying the dumbest stuff. Look at that shield plus 10,000. Let's put that on just for fun, huh? There we go. We should be able to block just about everything now. Let's just. What are my skills at? They're all. Well, we'll just max them out. Just to be clear here. Set our stats to like 80, 80, 80, and memorize shatter. Yeah. Whatever, J is fine. So now if I cast shatter, it should like do a lot of damage. Yeah, it's still not max spell power despite having 80 int. Oh, that's right. You need enhancers to get to like 200 spell power ever. But okay, so we'll just shatter these guys. They died. We got some corpses. And now we can make them into mushrooms. And we'll make like 20 scrolls of blinking. Okay, heal up. And what I wanted to do is see what happens. You guys, please stop moving. Okay. I wanted to see what happens if I read a scroll of blinking to teleport onto. Yes. Hey, what? I can't because my amulet has minus telly. Good joke. All right. Well, we'll just take it off then. Read, blinking, yes, on one of these guys. So it blinked me like adjacent to him, but I don't know if that was a coincidence or what. Let's try again. Read, blinking on this guy. So I think it's just making me do like a normal uncontrolled blink, but I'm not sure that's what it's doing. Let's try again. Yes. So that's terrible, in my opinion. It should, just like all kinds of things that you like, okay, let's compare. Let's make some deep water here, right? So clearly we cannot blink there. And what happens if I read a scroll of blinking on, yes, on that square? It says, why would you do that? And then it just doesn't do anything. It asks you if you want to blink again. Overriding and replacing your blink with something, using up your scroll of blinking to do something terrible is just not good. We shouldn't do that. Okay, so what we can do is we can look in the source code for, oops, there was something there already. see what makes that message be printed, look at the code around that. Let me just double check that you guys are seeing what I'm up to here. Yeah, you saw me flitting around in Wiz mode, and you see me searching around in Emacs now. Great. So here's this thing. Okay, so here we are in the code for casting controlled blink. And so my opinion is that this, so what's happening, all right, let me just explain to you guys. So we have this function, controlled blink, and whether this came from a miscast spell, it should therefore fail after selecting a target. When does that ever happen? I don't know. Okay. How does it find, what does find cblink target? How does that work? Let the player choose a destination. Okay. Okay. What in the world? So how does... I don't quite understand how... How do you ever get a miscast effect for... Oh, I see. I guess what happens is when you choose to cast controlled blink, the game decides whether it should fail, and then whether or not it should fail, it lets you choose a target so you don't, like, so that you still have a chance to change your mind. It doesn't tell you it's going to fail, but it's like, where do you want to teleport to? But apparently the decision about whether that's going to fail is made before you decide where to aim it, which is fine, I guess. So it lets you find a target, and if you can't find one, then it aborts. Or if you change your mind, if you say I don't want to blink, then it aborts. Otherwise, it says if you're not allowed to teleport, then don't teleport. If you're in a blink, and if you're in a net or something, and you fail to escape, then you still use up the scroll or the spell or whatever. Okay, so this is the clause here that I think is dumb and should die, which is if you are targeting a space that you're not allowed to teleport to, and you can see that you're not allowed to teleport to, it lets you pick it anyway, and then makes you do an uncontrolled blink instead. Now, I can imagine some scenarios where a player, knowing about this behavior, might actually choose to invoke it. Perhaps. Can I? I was thinking about scenarios where you cannot see any single safe place to teleport to. Just blink to, rather. And you might therefore choose to target an unsafe space because you want to blink anyway. But if there's nowhere safe to land at all, then an uncontrolled blink won't be any better than a controlled blink. So the only real benefit would be like if every square in your line of sight is filled with monsters, and you're in a net that you want to use a blink to get out of, even though it won't make you move, it'll just get you out of the net faster so you can attack. Like, you can imagine the theoretical optimal player might do this someday, but it doesn't seem very plausible. So what I would like to do is move this check, which checks to see if there's a wall or a monster where you're aiming, into basically into here, find cblink target. which I need to see how it handles like deep water, and then I want to do basically the same thing. Oh, look. Really? So notice cell is solid. Does this look familiar? If you look back, this check is like impossible. This can never happen. Let's confirm that. So my understanding is this is checking to see, is the player trying to control blink into a wall? If so, make them random teleport. But let's read this and say, yeah, I want to blink into a wall, please. It says you can't. Because find cblink target has already checked to see. Okay, so check move to. This is what's checking to see if you would be moving into something that you shouldn't, like water or lava. That'll say don't do that. Oh, interesting. I wonder if we compile with tail call optimization. Okay. So this is something, this looks like a related issue. Or it's something that makes me worry that there might be a different issue, like the player could maybe force a crash by attempting to blink into a wall like 1,000 times in a row or something. We'll see. I'll look into that later. But what I wanted to do was, so this is what stops you from getting into deep water. This is what stops you from getting into a wall. And then there's just nothing here that stops you from teleporting into a monster, and instead, this bit goes off if you try to blink into a monster. Ah, I see. So the reason that might come up is if you try to blink into a square where there's an invisible monster, the game shouldn't tell you that, unless you can see invisible, of course. It should basically just waste your blink. That makes sense to me. But if you try to teleport onto a monster that you know exists, that should be the same as trying to I keep saying teleport, I mean blink, of course. I think that should be the same as trying to blink into a wall or into deep water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, remove this check. We know it's impossible that you could be aiming into a wall because we've already checked for that. So what I'm going to do is, if I'm going to first, let's do this actually in opposite chronological order. So if after targeting blink, you're still somehow aiming at a square with a monster in it, then we conclude that the monster was invisible and say, oh, yep, sorry, you blinked somewhere else. And we'll even add a comment here. Explaining why it is that there can be a monster there. Let's actually do it this one. Okay, great. And now let's go find back to cblink target, and we'll add well, it's going to be a little bit awkward because we have to check if there's a monster at the square, right? How do you can see? Yeah, so that's like a thing. You need a monster nearby to know about that. Monster at target. So what does that actually return anyway? Monster at returns a monster pointer. Okay, so that's fine. All right, so what we're going to do is add a new clause here. If, well, actually, monster target mons equals monster at target if target mons and is it u.can see target mons? Then why does this say clear messages and these don't? That's weird. Okay. I'm gonna not clear messages in this case, I guess. Yeah, all of these are. All right. Where were we? We were down here. If there is a target mons and you can see it, then you can't blink onto %s. Oh my gosh, how do you print a monster's name? It's the desk the, I guess. That'll help me find it. Oh, it's just mons arrow name. Great. Mons name desk the dot c string. So this is when you ask a monster what its name is, you also tell it the grammatical context you're going to insert that name into. So like for a wandering mushroom, you cannot blink onto the wandering mushroom, or it might even say your wandering mushroom. Probably. The monster probably knows it's yours. Whereas for a monster like Sigmund, it won't say the Sigmund, because Sigmund knows he's a unique and will say, oh, my name is just Sigmund. Okay, so then we're going to just do this. Okay. Looks plausible. The thing is that I would like to test it. Ah, how very clever of me. I made an accidental, brilliant decision, which is that I opened my command line in the same terminal window that I have a crawl debugging process up. This tab is actually on CAO playing online, and I need to test locally, so I was like, darn it, I'm going to have to open another window and show them like my local copy of crawl. All right, this didn't compile. Great. Oh, I missed a semicolon, of course. You need like 100 million semicolons in C++, I guess, technically. Okay, so anyway, now, since I happen to already have a, what now? Mons, oh, I called it target mons. Sure. Reference to type, do I have to star target mons there? Did I get that wrong? Yeah, it looks like I did. Let's double check how can see is usually called. Yeah, you have to star it. All right, fine. So now, anyway, I can compile this locally, and then play a Wiz mode game locally to confirm that it's made the change that I wanted. Cool. Crawl. Can't. Oh my gosh, what? Fine, that's sort of my fault. I accidentally inserted some junk into this vault. Fine. Now can we play? Thank you. Let's switch to FedHos, and again, I don't think this is going to matter at all in terms of, actually, now that I've looked at the code, I know it doesn't matter, so we don't have to be FedHos. Let's just make a null band or something. And let's just memorize controlled blank. Yes. Put it on B, very nice. So cast B on this wall. It says you can't blink into that, and we're still targeting blink. I think, by the way, it would be much better if the cursor stayed on that wall instead of staying on you. but I'm not really gonna mess with that. And now I target a null, and it still lets me blink. So clearly my fix did not work. That's interesting. Why not? Shouldn't this have... Huh. Wait, why does... What is the difference between target? The target found... Oh, I see. Target is the return value. Okay. Fine. So it seems like monster at the target should have been true, and we can see the target. So why did this not happen? All right, well, let's just to be clear, let's make sure I'm not like somehow like let's do it with scrolls of blinking just in case like I'm somehow getting it confused. No, it definitely says there was something there already. Why would it say that now? This should this bit here should be triggering and making it not happen, right? But instead, apparently, it's not. So at the very top of this, we ask the player to choose a new place, right? Direction, beam, args, yeah, okay. Okay. This is super weird. So obviously, in this case, like as far as this function is concerned, all right, let's do something that's clearly wrong, just to confirm that the code that I think is running is running. Let's completely remove this clause, which should make it possible to blink into the same square as a monster, and that ought to make Crawl pretty upset. Or maybe not, I don't know. Maybe it'll just let me share squares with the monster like you can in Wiz mode. But either way, it should definitely be a noticeable change. So let's read G on, yes, on this null. Okay, yeah, crashed the game. Great. That's what I was hoping would happen. Sort of. Okay, so this is definitely the code that's running. And, So it's clearly the case that this find cblink target is returning, it's saying that everything was okay in a case where I think everything shouldn't have been okay. And I don't know why. Is there any case here where we can return true early? No. Try again. Messages handled by check move too. Yeah. What would happen? You know what? Let's start a debug build here. Nice make SJ6 debug. Why debug? No, let's do a full debug build. Whatever. So that's going to take a little while, I think. Yeah. In the meantime, we can get back to looking at this. Um, so we're checking if there's a monster at the target. And target is what everyone else is checking here, right? Aha, okay, I figured it out. It's beam.target. I'm not sure what target is in this case here. Right? Everything else in this function is checking beam.target. Yes, okay. I was confused, I think, because target is valid and is like a thing that exists, and beam.target exists, but they're different things. Target was the right thing to use in that other function, but here we have to use beam.target. So it was like... Seems like they should have been the same thing, though. I don't know. All right, so now, sadly, I've started a debug build, and actually, you know what? I bet Ccache can make this all pretty quick if I just rebuild without debug mode. Yeah, this is all flying by because it just has saved copies of all the compiled files. Okay, so we can test this change real soon. Yes, come on, finish, crawl, play. Great. So now let's read G on on this null, and it says you can't blink onto the null. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's exactly what I was hoping would happen. Can't blink on the null. Great. Now, let's... I want to make an invisible monster to make sure that I haven't ruined that case. I also want to make, like, Sigmund to make sure that it doesn't say the Sigmund or something silly like that. You can't blink onto Sigmund. Great. Now, let's... How do you do this? How do I make this monster friendly? There's a way to do that. Wizard targeting commands. Capital F. I tried Control F. All right, now we have a friendly null, and let's blink on him just for fun. Yes. You can't blink onto your null. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay. Now I just want an invisible monster. I could create like an unseen horror, which is invisible, but then I wouldn't know where it was because I can't see invisible. So what I'm going to do instead is just cast invisibility on Sigmund and read blinking onto the square where I know he is. And indeed, it said, oops, there was something there already, and I blink. Great. So I think I'm happy with this change. So let's make it happen. Let's make it real. Okay. Yes, this all seems pretty clear. Now we're explaining why this clause could ever happen, and we removed the cell is solid check that was already handled. And commit it. Describe my change as don't let player try fix handling of player seed blinking onto a monster instead of wasting the scroll and doing a random blink. Tell the player they can't blink onto the monster and ask for a new target. Great. Let's make sure we are up to date. Nobody has committed anything else. Nope. So we will just get push. And there we go. That is how the sausage is made in Dungeon Crawl. You run into this. That's the way I like to develop is run into something that I don't like or that I notice in my game that's bad. Figure out how to fix it, and then it gets pushed up. So it won't be live on the servers yet. They automatically rebuild like every day. I could trigger a rebuild that'll finish in like 20 minutes or something, but it's not terribly urgent. I just won't blink onto any monsters in the meantime. How are we for time? It took a good half an hour. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That little diversion from normal play. I guess I'll I'll release this the same day as the episode that I ran into that issue, so it won't interrupt your normal schedule of one episode of Real Crawl per day. But if you guys do enjoy this one, I don't know. Let me know. I can do more of these, or I can do less. I don't mind doing this off camera. It's certainly easier, but it's fun to do it on camera, just like playing Crawl. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.